Have you ever wondered how space weather impacts our daily life? Space weather, a concept that seems alien and abstract, is more intertwined with our existence than you might think. It's not something we can see with our eyes or feel with our skin, but its influence is far-reaching, impacting our everyday lives in surprising ways. Imagine the sun, a swirling ball of hot plasma, millions of miles away. It's continuously emitting a stream of charged particles into space, a solar wind that carries with it magnetic fields. This is the crux of space weather. The Earth, nestled in the vast expanse of space, isn't immune to these cosmic activities. Our planet's magnetic field interacts with these solar winds, resulting in a variety of phenomena. Some are beautiful, like the aurora borealis, but others can be disruptive, affecting our technology and communication systems. Stick with us to learn how invisible forces from space can disrupt our modern life. When we talk about space weather, we're not referring to whether it's raining or sunny in space. No, space weather is a different beast altogether. It's about the ever-changing environment in space, primarily driven by the activities on our fiery celestial neighbor, the sun. At the heart of space weather are solar flares, solar wind, and geomagnetic storms. Let's break these down. Solar flares, imagine them as colossal explosions on the sun's surface, releasing a burst of radiation across the electromagnetic spectrum. While they are spectacular to witness, they play an integral role in space weather. Next up is solar wind. It's not wind as we know it on Earth. Instead, it's a stream of charged particles, primarily electrons and protons, that the sun continually emits. These particles travel at incredible speeds, reaching far beyond our planet, shaping the space weather in the process. Then we have geomagnetic storms. These are disturbances in Earth's magnetosphere, caused by a surge in solar wind. Picture them as invisible and silent storms, powerful enough to alter the conditions in space. All these elements, the solar flares, solar wind, and geomagnetic storms, intertwine to create the complex system we call space weather. It's an invisible and silent phenomenon, yet incredibly powerful, influencing everything from our satellites in space to the very technology we depend on every day. And while space weather might sound like a concept that belongs in a sci-fi novel, it's very real, and it's happening above us right now. It's an intricate ballet of cosmic forces that's constantly unfolding, with our sun being the conductor, orchestrating the symphony of activities. So space weather is not about raincoats or umbrellas, nor about blizzards or heat waves. It's about the sun, its temper tantrums, its gentle sighs, its invisible forces shaping our space environment. So we know that space weather involves the sun's activities, but how does that affect us here on Earth? Well, that's a story for another scene. Imagine if your GPS suddenly stopped working while you were driving in an unfamiliar city. A nightmare, right? Well, this scenario is not as far-fetched as it might seem, thanks to the fascinating yet unpredictable phenomenon of space weather. You see, space weather is not just a distant, cosmic event. It has tangible and at times disruptive effects right here on Earth, particularly on our satellites. These high-tech devices orbiting our planet are incredibly susceptible to the whims of space weather. So how does space weather impact satellites? The answer lies in the energy, in the form of solar winds and magnetic storms, that space weather events unleash. These can have serious implications for the delicate electronic systems on board our satellites. And now think about how much we rely on these satellites. They're not just for scientists or astronauts, they're integral to our everyday lives. From the GPS services that guide us to our destinations, to the satellite TV that entertains us, to the weather forecasts that help us plan our days, all of these services depend on the smooth operation of satellites. However, during intense space weather events like solar storms, the high-energy particles can interfere with the operation of these satellites. This can lead to interruptions in the services we rely on. In extreme cases, the sophisticated electronics on a satellite can malfunction or even fail completely. Scary, isn't it? And it's not just about temporary disruptions. The lifespan of satellites can be significantly shortened due to the damage caused by space weather. This not only leads to a loss of services, but also adds to the growing problem of space debris. It's clear that space weather, while a captivating spectacle in the cosmos, is a force to be reckoned with. It's not just about beautiful auroras lighting up the night sky. It's a reminder of our vulnerability in the face of the vast and powerful universe. Without satellites functioning properly, we'd lose a lot of the conveniences we take for granted. So the next time you look up at the night sky, spare a thought for the hard-working satellites orbiting our planet, weathering the storms of space. What if you couldn't access your favorite social media sites or even make a simple phone call? That's right. We're about to delve into how space weather can potentially disrupt our communication systems, including both internet and telephone services. Our world thrives on communication, and our modern society heavily relies on technology to keep us connected. Be it a tweet, a video call, or even a good old-fashioned phone call, these all depend on signals transmitted through space. Now, imagine if space weather decided to throw a spanner in the works. When we talk about space weather, we're referring to the changing environmental conditions in near-Earth space. These changes are largely driven by the activity of our sun, such as solar flares and solar wind. And just like Earth's weather, space weather can be calm or stormy. The stormy part is what we're particularly interested in, as it can lead to disruptions in our communication signals. These storms can interfere with the signals that our communication systems use. It's a bit like trying to listen to a radio station while you're driving through a tunnel. The signal from the radio station is still there, but the tunnel walls interfere with it, causing static or loss of signal altogether. In a similar fashion, space weather storms can cause our satellite signals to experience interference or even total blackout. This can affect everything from GPS navigation to television broadcasts, and yes, even your ability to post that perfect selfie on Instagram. These storms are not constant, and they don't happen every day, but when they do, they can cause serious disruptions. A particularly strong space weather storm in 1989, for instance, caused a widespread power outage in the province of Quebec in Canada, affecting millions of people. So, while space weather might seem like a distant and abstract concept, its effects can be very real and close to home. It's a reminder of just how interconnected our world has become and how much we rely on the technology that keeps us connected. As you can see, space weather can have a significant impact on our ability to communicate. So the next time you're struggling with a poor signal, remember, it might just be a stormy day in space. So how do we protect ourselves from these invisible forces from space? Well, while we can't exactly put up a giant umbrella to shield us from space weather, we do have some pretty ingenious methods up our sleeves. To start, it all comes down to keeping a keen eye on the sun. Scientists around the globe are constantly monitoring our star's activity. They use advanced telescopes and satellites to track solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other solar phenomena that could potentially send a storm our way. Now you might be wondering, what do we do with all this information? The answer is we predict. Just like meteorologists on Earth forecast rain or snow, space weather scientists use the data they gather to predict when a space weather event might occur. This gives us a heads up to prepare and take necessary precautionary measures. But that's not all. These predictions also play a crucial role in the design and operation of technology. Tech companies, especially those in the business of satellites and communication systems, take space weather into account when designing their products. They use robust materials and innovative designs to ensure that their devices can withstand the harsh conditions of space. For instance, satellites are often equipped with protective shields and systems that can be put into a safe mode during severe space weather events. Moreover, in the event of an incoming solar storm, actions can be taken to mitigate the impact. For instance, power grids can be adjusted to handle the extra load, astronauts can move to safer parts of the International Space Station, and flight paths can be rerouted to avoid areas of high radiation. So, while space weather might seem like a formidable foe, we're not defenseless. We're always learning, always adapting, using our knowledge and creativity to come up with solutions. While space weather may be a force beyond our control, human ingenuity ensures we're not left in the dark. Space weather is just one of the many fascinating aspects of the universe we live in. This invisible force, a symphony of solar winds, magnetic fields, and cosmic radiation, shapes our daily lives in ways we may not even realize. It's a testament to the interconnectedness of our world and the cosmos. We've journeyed through the basics of space weather, understanding how it impacts our satellites, disrupts our communication, and how we are learning to protect ourselves from its effects. The more we understand about these cosmic conditions, the better equipped we are to adapt and thrive, not just survive. Space weather is not just a challenge, but a marvel of the universe, a constant reminder of the dynamic and ever-changing cosmos we are a part of. As we continue to explore and understand, we unlock new opportunities, new technologies, and new frontiers. Next time you use your smartphone or watch satellite TV, remember the invisible forces from space that make it all possible.